Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm actually going to be repotting a few plants in my personal collection. Since the weather is getting warmer, I figured it was a good time to start my whole repotting process for all of my plants. To be fair, my plants really don't know the difference between winter, spring, and summer. We actually keep our apartment quite warm during the winter. So how I'm going to do this is I think I'm going to break this into parts and make this like a little series of just repotting my plants, getting ready for spring and summer. I'm going to start with all of the anthuriums first because most of my anthuriums are actually in my detolf cabinet, so it's just easier to just start in one place. So the first plant I have is this anthurium queen. I've had this plant for about a year and honestly 10 out of 10 do not recommend. This has been one of the hardest plants that I've ever had ever. The anthurium queen is one of my favorite anthuriums, just not when it's in my collection. I enjoy looking at this plant from afar and how beautiful it is, and I give props to people who can actually care for this plant and make it grow large. I don't know, I just cannot do it. So this plant has definitely been through it. I have knocked it over, it's gotten stuck, it's just been really ugly, and it finally put out a leaf right here, which is pretty decent. It's in a 4-inch pot right now, and I think it's been in there for quite a while. I have a really bad habit with my personal plants where I don't repot them for like about a year. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and that's why I really need to start repotting all of my plants because it's been a really long time. Repotting plants is the thing that I hate to do the absolute most. That is just one of the plant chores I just refuse to do, and I'm trying to get better at that. And it might be because I have like a lack of space thing or something. It's not like fun for me. It's very much a chore and I just don't really enjoy it. So we have this anthurium queen here that's going to get potted up into probably a 5 or a 6-inch. It just depends on the root system when I take it out. And then I do have another anthurium queen here. This one is a 1-leafer and the bottom did get crushed, unfortunately. It did have 2 leaves at a point, but the second leaf was really crusty, so I just decided to cut it off. The thing about this plant in particular is that it's just really not a beginner friendly plant. So if you are a beginner and you're looking for a beginner friendly anthurium, this is not it. It's very finicky with watering, the amount of humidity, and like the temperature as well. I've actually had quite a few anthurium queens within the last year, and these 2 are the only 2 that's really made it. When I first got my anthurium queens, I actually was putting them in a lot of humidity because that's what I kept reading online as a beginner. And that's kind of the perfect example why you shouldn't really like necessarily believe everything that you read online. I think that every plant is different and every circumstance is different, and I was doing that and it was actually killing my plants. Now for you that might work, but for me it just was not working. The moment I decided to move the queens out of the high humidity and put them at about 60 to 70%, they started doing better. So I think in the future I'm going to keep the queens just in room temperature and room humidity and just keep them just out in the open and possibly run a humidifier here and there, but I don't think I'm going to keep them in such a high humid environment because I feel like they get a lot of fungal issues and stuff like that, and I just don't want to deal with that with my anthuriums. And then I also have these anthurium queens here. You're probably like, oh my gosh, why do you have so many? The 2 queens I just showed you, one was a complete unrooted chunk that grew out, and the second one was actually one I had bought as a little plant and then let it grow, and clearly they're both still little plants. They haven't grown much. Clearly I'm doing something wrong. These right here, I grew these from seeds. I think when I first started my YouTube channel, I showcased me up potting these from their little moss container. They were super small, and then I potted them up into this little container here. So it's been a few months. I had bought 3 seeds and this is how they're looking now. Finally, they are starting to actually look like real plants, so it's super exciting. I'm happy that they are still alive because honestly I have neglected them. But yeah, there is I think 3 plants in here, so I want to get them separated and into their own little 4-inch pot. And then the last plant that I'm going to repot is this anthurium crystallinum crossed with a Bessier af. I got this from Ecuador a few months ago. I really do love this plant, but I feel like its growth has been stunted because I think it's just too root bound and it needs an upgrade. It's still a little wet because it's been recently watered a few days ago, but it's completely root bound, and I just really want to kind of just pick up this plant and put it in a bigger pot, not necessarily mess with the roots or anything like that. I'm kind of just going to be picking up all the plants and putting them into a new pot. So I'm going to put my gloves on because One thing about me is that I do not like touching any type of like potting mix, soil, anything like that with my bare hands. I absolutely hate it. I just don't like the feeling of it, and I just don't like my hands getting dirty. And I do my own nails and I take a lot of time doing my own nails, so I don't want them to get like dirty or like ruined. So I enjoy wearing gloves. Props to people who really enjoy like digging in soil. I know a lot of people always say that they really enjoy that feeling. It's just like, it could never be me. Even if I was to have an outside garden, like for forget about it. I could never dig my hands in dirt and like possibly touch like a bug or something like that. I would like freak out. Start with this Anthurium queen here. I'm really sad that this leaf did get a bit damaged, but it's not too bad. You can tell it is getting some spots on it, which is really annoying. I really don't know how to deal with that. So honestly, I can't remember exactly where I got this one from. I know one of them was an unrooted chunk, and I think one of them I did buy from somebody on Instagram. It's definitely been quite a while since I touched this plant because it's definitely in like one of my older potting mixes, because I can see that there's moss in here and leca. For a long time for my anthuriums, I was including moss and leca in their potting mix, which works great. I just stopped doing that because I'm not really a fan of like moss. And I just haven't also bought leca in a really long time, so I don't really do that anymore. For the most part, it looks pretty good. So what I want to do with this guy and the other one, I want to move it into a 5.5 inch pot because I want to give it enough space to grow. And I think that this one is going to be perfect because since this is an Anthurium queen, it is kind of top heavy. So this taller pot will give it some more height to grow, and it'll give it just enough space as well to grow. But I love this pot for Anthuriums because it has the extra slots on the side so that they have more airflow. This is how it looks up close. You can see that there's slots on the side and then there's drainage on the bottom, and it's quite tall as well. This pot does have a tapered design, and overall I just think that this works really great with Anthuriums and top heavy philodendron. So I really love this pot. If you're interested in any of the pots in this video, they are on my website for sale, so you can go ahead and check that out. And also if you're interested in the potting mix, that is also for sale on my website as well. I make this myself. So really, like I said, I'm just going to be picking up the plants and putting them into a new pot. For the longest time, I was someone who like disturbed the roots a little bit. Not necessarily disturbed, but like broke up the bottom a little bit. But nowadays, I kind of just feel like it's better to just kind of pick them up and just put them in something bigger and let them just do what they need to do. I find that that works the best because when I was a beginner, I was definitely going through a phase where I would get a new plant and repot it and like disturb the roots. And then within a few days, I would get like root rot or something, or like the plant would start dying and stuff like that. So that was just my experience. Definitely differs for everybody, but that was my experience. So now I just pick up the plant and just stick it in there. I think I have such a hard time with the Anthurium queen is because, like I said, it is a more finicky plant, and I'm somebody, if the plant care for all my plants is not the same, like if a plant requires way more attention, that plant's gonna probably suffer in my collection. That's why I don't have any like calatheas or anything like that anymore, because I don't know, I just don't have the time to like come up with a plant care routine specific to one plant. It's just too much for me. But I think that the queens are going to do a little bit better once I get them, you know, fully repotted. They probably could use some fertilizer as well. So I'm going to get them fertilized, and I'm going to use the Dynagrow liquid fertilizer. You just mix it in with your water and then you water the plant. My potting mix, I don't like any type of slow release fertilizers, but you can add it if you like it. I just prefer the Dynagrow liquid because I feel like it does a really great job. That's what I'm gonna do after the video. I'm gonna just water them. Here's what it's looking like, and this is what I was talking about. I feel like this pot works great for this type of plant. It just gives it the height that it needs because it really just hangs down. This would be good too for like the philodendron patrice, because it just hangs down. The queens are currently living in my detolf cabinet, but like I said, eventually they're probably going to come in here and go on the top shelf with the rest of the big anthuriums. I just find that they really just don't need all that humidity, at least in my home. They do better for me in regular room humidity and regular temperature. And also I find that this plant does not like touching other plants. The moment it touches something else, you can like see that it visibly has like a mark on it, like it just doesn't like it. So definitely do your due diligence if you're getting this plant. It's pretty expensive. I know it's really easy to get sucked into this plant because number one, it's gorgeous, and Ecuagenera always has really large ones for like $100. And I think that we've all been there where we bought that $100 Ecuagenera Anthurium queen and it died within a few days. So yeah, if you can skip out on it, I would skip out on it. But if you want to give yourself a challenge, go for it. But for me, I think these queens that I have once these go, I think I'm done with the queens. I think it's just too much work for me. So then I have this little queen here. This one did have 2 leaves. The second leaf was definitely going, so I had cut it off. And the second leaf just was not in good shape. It was completely crispy. It had fungal on it. Like I don't know. My bad habit I have with plants is that once they start doing bad or I'm not interested in them anymore, I will completely neglect it. And that was something that I was like dealing with for a really long time actually. I feel like you have to be in the right headspace to like take care of plants. Like that's just it. Or if you're feeling like overwhelmed in like your personal life and stuff like that, like if you can't take care of yourself, you really can't take care of your plants. And that was something that I was dealing with for quite a while. Like before I even had the shop and everything like that. I felt like plant care was really stressing me out. On top of everything else I had going on, but I feel like I'm in a much better place nowadays, and I can definitely tell that my plants are doing like way better. So yeah, I wish this poor guy didn't get stuck on the bottom. I don't really know what exactly happened here. I think it maybe was growing on the shelf and it was growing like this instead of straight down, so I think that's what happened. So I'm gonna make sure that I get this potted in that tall pot as well so that I can have enough space to like hang. So we're gonna use the same 5.5 inch pot for this guy as well. And I just have a good feeling that they're gonna just do a little bit better now. And lately with any anthurium, when I'm going to like pot it up or repot it, I always put extra charcoal in the mix. And the point of the charcoal is to like help prevent root rot and like, you know, like bad bacteria and stuff like that. I've definitely seen a huge difference when I had started adding charcoal to my plants. I definitely go heavy handed on the charcoal, and I feel like it makes a big difference, especially for plants that are like propagations from going from water to potting mix. It definitely makes a difference. And I also include charcoal in my pot mix as well, and that helps a lot with the transfer shock. If you're having like some issues with like root rot, I highly recommend adding charcoal to your mix. Definitely helps. I mean, it's not going to be like a drastic difference, but it does help a little bit in the long run. So here's this one, just a solo leaf, and he definitely has a little bit more height to grow. And it looks like where I cut the other one down here, it looks like there is a growth point, so we might actually be getting another leaf coming in soon. So it will have a lot of space to grow, and hopefully it doesn't get squished in the future. So now let's move on to the anthurium seedlings. So this one I'm going to obviously have to disturb because I want to separate them, but luckily it's like falling right apart. I highly recommend growing anthuriums from seeds. If you never tried it, because it's really easy to do. You literally just put the seed in like a little container with like moss and just cover it, give it high humidity, a lot of light, and next thing you know, you'll have like a little sprout, and the next thing you know, you have like a full plant. So it's a good way to get more expensive anthuriums for a cheaper price, because you're growing it from a little seed, obviously, or even buying a seedling of that plant is cheaper. So yeah, maybe if you are looking for specific types of anthuriums but they're just out of your price range, try finding seeds. You can probably find seed sellers on Etsy as well. It can't hurt to take a look. So we have this guy right here, we have this one here, and then we have this one here. So we do have 3, because honestly I thought I had lost one of them, but I'm happy to see that all 3 are alive and doing well. This one though, it does have a leaf that's like on its way out, so I'm just gonna pop it off. It does look like it has a growth point, so a new one is probably on the way soon. So for these ones, I'm gonna do little 4-inch pots because like I said, they were in like little 2.5-inch pots, and if I give it a 4, it'll have a lot of space to grow, and I won't have to repot it again for a little bit, hopefully. So honestly, I'm just really proud of myself that I grew these little guys from seeds. It seems like it would be so hard, but it's so easy because you just forget about them. I'm trying to get into breeding my anthuriums because a lot of them are in their pollen stage. I've talked about it in my last vlog. Fingers crossed that it works so that I can provide you guys with a bunch of seeds so that you guys could try it out for yourself, because I would love to be able to have a bunch of seeds and sell them on the shop as well, and then you guys can try it out for yourselves. So we got this one right here in this little 4-inch pot, and then we have this one is the biggest. It actually is pretty nice, to be fair. I feel like when I bought one of the other queens, they were honestly like this size, maybe slightly bigger, but I had bought it at like a smaller size like this or something. I find that the queens do better for me when they're small or when I completely have to cut them back and regrow them myself. That's just the experience that I've just kept having with these plants, and I'm hoping that this gets better for me, and hopefully repotting them all will make a big difference. I'm certain it will. You know, I need to get better at actually repotting my plants and not letting them sit for like a whole year. Here is this one here. Looks good in his new pot. And then we have the one more, which is this guy here. This one had a leaf that was going, so I just cut it off as well. Here is this one here. It's got 2 leaves now because I just ripped off the other one. But I'm excited for these 3 guys to grow. I am going to keep these guys in the detolf with the other ones, and I'm going to try to keep up with the watering on them and really keep an eye on the queens now moving forward. The next plant is another Ecuagenera plant. This is the Anthurium crystallinum crossed with a Bessier af, and it's completely root bound in this 5-inch pot. So I'm going to try to get this out of here without harming it, which I'm doing my best. Okay. And it literally just slid right out. So I am not going to mess with this plant. I am going to just pick it up and put it in here. I just don't want this plant to die. And like I said, every time I be messing with the roots, the plants be dying, and I've had to learn a really hard lesson. It's definitely been focusing more on the roots because I don't think I've gotten a new leaf on this plant for a really long time, probably since I got it. And honestly, realistically, this 6-inch pot, I don't even think it's big enough. I would want to go a little higher, but 6-inch is all I got right now. I'm planning to get bigger pots in the future, and once I get those bigger pots, that's when I'm going to up pot a lot of my 6-inch plants into like 8 and above. I'm excited to get some new pot inventory as well. So yeah, we can look out for that in the future, probably by like summertime, I think. So that'll be in the future. So I guess for now we'll do all of these smaller plants until we get the new size range of the other plant pots. So I definitely don't feel like this 6-inch pot is going to last long, because honestly I don't think it's big enough. I think it will last like maybe a few months. The roots grow so fast on this plant, I don't think it's going to last too long. It's definitely a good start and it's better than what it was in, but hopefully this repot will help it and maybe it can focus on putting out a new leaf. When this plant produces a new leaf, it actually comes in like this beautiful red color and it's so pretty. So hopefully we can get some new leaves to grow from this guy in the next few months now that it's been repotted. So we are officially done with this batch of anthuriums. I'm feeling really good about these guys. I'm really gonna try my best to like keep up with the queens. I know I could do so much better with this plant, so I'm gonna try my best to keep them nice and really like not let them dry out as often, because when I water my plants I really let them dry out till they're like bone dry, and I think that's what's hurting the queens a lot as well. So I'm going to try to keep up with the watering on those. I think I'm going to make this like a little series, like a spring repotting series, and go through all my plants. So in the next few weeks you'll see me do another batch of plants and then another batch until we get to the summer, and hopefully by then I get all of my personal plants repotted so that they can just grow and thrive all summer. But I hope you guys enjoyed what I have, and then we'll do another repot and I'll pick out some more plants out of the detolf. So we'll continue working on the detolf cabinet, and then we'll move on to like the rudsta and the milsbo. And then at the very end, we'll move on to the plants that are in here at the top, the really big plants. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!